Hi, my name is Maggic. I'm originally from Los Angeles, but now I'm based in Vienna. I have a background in biology and arts, and for the past 7 or 8 years, I've been researching about molecules and how this is changing the way we see our bodies and our environments. And it was from this research that made me really question what it means to be alien. Um, when I think about all of the molecules that are around us as a form of toxicity, I think about how these definitions of normal and natural are changing as well. And when I was approached to do this commissioned project, I wanted to work with trash. I just knew immediately I wanted to work with trash. So the title of this kind of commissioned project is Waste Archeology. And I actually scavenged for a lot of trash found on Corfu Island in Greece, which is a very kind of popular tourist destination. And from the trash that I collected, I actually fused them together with a kind of bioplastic, so a biodegradable plastic made from kudzu starch. Kudzu is an invasive plant species, but the roots can actually be used to make bioplastic. So combining all of these waste materials together using this very sticky material causes things to stick together that maybe shouldn't stick together. It makes me think about the fact that, trash, when we try to get rid of it, it eventually comes back into our bodies. And inside of our bodies, it's making new combinations. And I see this process as also a planetary process happening in the body of the planet, right? Because the Earth is trying to figure out, how can I metabolize this trash? How can I integrate it into my system? And what kind of new being will I become? So I was archiving these sticky trash materials in a digital way, so 3D scanning them as a way to archive this very disobedient process of sticking together. And it was from these 3D renderings that came out with the coloring page.
Since your commission is a kids coloring page, and sometimes I think as an artist you take into consideration who you are addressing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not necessarily only addressing kids, but also what, like, how are your thoughts, like, what would you want to or what do you imagine kids to take from this? Except in quotation marks a coloring page.
So I have a child of my own. My daughter is 5 years old, and she's actually teaching me so much about what it means to become a child again. And I think that for children, stickiness is something very attractive, but over time we are taught to wash our hands and to not allow things to stick on our bodies. And especially with the pandemic, we're much more kind of afraid of things infecting us or contaminating us. So the stickiness, I've actually used it in workshop settings. And I always find that the participants, even though they are adults, they always find this kind of joy and curiosity when they're playing with the stickiness. And it's almost like they're becoming children again. It's almost like breaking these rules, like sticking things together that shouldn't be together. And so I think that's something very liberating. And that's why I think, having this project be turned to a kid's coloring page is actually quite perfect.
You mentioned that you collected trash on Corfu. Was there a specific process of choosing the trash? Or because in a way, you talked about gluing things together that don't belong together.
Mm-hmm.
So how did your gluing together process with the trash happen?
Mm-hmm.
Or sticking together?
Mm-hmm.
Did you choose it? Did it choose you?
So I'm very much inspired by the writings of Jane Bennett. Mm-hmm. She writes a lot about the vibrancy of matter. And she had this very interesting talk where she was interviewing hoarders, people who never throw away things ever, and things just accumulate in their houses. And the hoarders, they always mention that there's some kind of special quality about the trash that they feel so attracted to that they can't throw it away. And this is the agency of the material. Mm-hmm. It has its own kind of power and allure and attraction. And so when I go and scavenge trash, I just kind of allow the objects to speak to me. And some objects are very interesting to me and I feel very drawn to them. And then others, I really have no interest. And so that's really my main strategy. Yeah.
Cool.
So from my research, I'm actually quite critical about these ideas of cleaning up and these kind of notions of purity, like having a pure body or having a pure nature, for example, because that's a kind of politics in itself, to decide that this deserves to be clean and this deserves to be dirty. That's, whoever makes that decision has a lot of power behind that. So my approach is more about how can we live with the dirtiness, the alienness, and the disobedience, right? How can we allow the glitches to happen, the kind of the mistakes, the accidents, the unruly objects to happen. Yeah.